nice restaurants. And the reason why you want to do this is because you know that the men who are going there are productive. They have great jobs. A lot of the times they're coming there after work because they want to unwind.
Dedication, preservation, take a look inside your salvation. Do every good work, it takes patience, like a butterfly, transformation.
What is up, guys? Sophie here, and I'm back with another video. If you are new to my channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And also don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can stay updated on all of my content. And also don't forget to check the description box because I always put a lot of stuff in there, specifically my book for single women. So what we are going to be talking about today is where to put yourself in position. So I actually got this question in response to one of the videos that I did, and I'll link it down in the description box, where I talk about that yes, men do the chasing, but ultimately women, we still have to put ourselves in position. I think we need to stop this whole, a man who finds a wife finds a good thing, and now I'm just gonna sit in my living room and now I'm gonna wait to be found. Really? I mean, does he live with you? Is he coming through the walls? Because I mean, where else are they going to be finding us in order to chase us if we cannot be seen? So I'm actually going to get into some real life examples on where you can find good quality, high value men. So let's go ahead and get on into it. So the first thing that I would say is to consider brunch. So brunch is very popular, especially for after church. Obviously I'm a faith-based channel, but I know like a lot of people after church typically like to go to brunch. And so the good thing about this is that you're already looking nice. I hope that you went to church looking your best. And then also there are plenty of other men also coming from church who are eating brunch. And the thing about this, in order for this to work, because not everywhere is created equal, not all restaurants are created equal. And so there are certain places in which you could give yourself the best type of chance in order to meet a good quality man. The first is, like I said, the great thing about brunch, especially from going on brunch on Sundays, is that other men who have also came from church are going to brunch. And so if you want to meet a good Christian man, then yes, they may be there. Another thing is to go to an area in which they are known for brunch. And I'm going to give an example. On Sunday, I went to this place in Arlington. It was near my job, Arlington, Virginia. They had a brunch special where it was unlimited amounts of like food and then also drinks for like a certain price. And so this restaurant, I would say, really geared towards nice restaurants. I would say this restaurant was a really upscale restaurant. The area in which it was in was like a really expensive place to live. The reason why I knew about it is because I worked around that area. So going to a nice upscale place and a nice upscale restaurant, and also this is kind of a budget saving tip for those, because I know that y'all don't want to be spending all y'all money, but if you go to a brunch, oftentimes they have like deals or whatever. And so even this particular restaurant on any other day probably would have been very expensive, but because they were well known for brunch, then they had like a deal going on where you can get food and then you can get drinks for one price, and it also gathers people there so when they have specials. So obviously you want to go to a nice restaurant, and also you want to go to a restaurant that are known for their brunches, because that draws in the crowd, and the more people there obviously will give you the more, like, you can meet more people, right? So next, happy hour. So I know that not everybody drinks. I'm not saying that you have to drink. And I know like some people can kind of tinge a little bit when it comes to happy hour. So I want to explain what a good happy hour is versus a bad happy hour. Because to me, you can go to a happy hour and you can go to a bar. And to me, there are good quality men there. I actually want to give you guys an example, because this happened probably, what, 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, probably a week ago, I went to Carrabba's, and this is just a Carrabba's, right? If you guys know what a Carrabba's is. I went there with my mother and my son, and because of the social distancing, we were sitting in the area next to the podium and the bar was across from us. And so in came a guy that my mother actually worked with in the government. He had a great job. He was a nice looking guy. He came in by himself and he sat at the bar and he ordered a glass of wine. And then he saw us and then he came to speak and everything. So what my point is that don't just think just because it's like a bar or a happy hour that they're not good quality men there. there. And so really what he was doing is, because a lot of single men do this, they go in, they sit at the bar and they enjoy, well, he had a whole bottle of wine, but they'll enjoy a whole glass of wine. So for you, what I want to say is this: if you don't drink, then you can definitely get like a glass of water, you can definitely get some soda, and also if you are alone, you can sit at the bar and you could just order some food. Just because you're showing up during happy hour, I have went with my cousin, I have went with friends that do not drink, and we have gone to happy hour. Just because you're going to happy hour doesn't necessarily mean that you have to drink, but you're just putting yourself in position in order to be approached. And a lot of the times when you sit at a bar, that is the place to do that. And the reason why I'm putting pictures is because I really want to get it in you guys' head what type of places that you should be, you know, encountering, right? It's a different spot from going somewhere where it's like, you know, not the best type of environment, or I have been to some happy hours, because I don't want to sound judgmental, but I have been to some happy hours where I'm like, what in the world is this? So you don't want to do that. You definitely want to err on the side of classy restaurants, nice restaurants. And the reason why you want to do this is because you know that the men who are going there, just like the story that I told you, are productive. They have great jobs. A lot of the times they're coming there after work because they want to unwind. And a lot of times they're simply just coming there because they don't have anything to do and they want to meet people. And it's the easiest way to just kind of interact with other people. So what I would say on how to research the type of places that you go is that I live in like a suburban area, and this not to brag, but this is just to give you an idea, because I went to Carrabba's. You can go to Carrabba's in my area and you can go to a Carrabba's in a different area, and you can probably have two different experiences. But since I live in a suburban upper middle class area, most people who live around here who go to restaurants are going to be, you know, suburban upper middle class. Because I don't want to make this sound like gold diggerish. I don't want to do that, but I just want to encourage you guys to meet quality people. And that's just giving you example of why when I go to a regular restaurant such as Carrabba's, such as even Olive Garden, these aren't like super rare upscale restaurants. But if you go to restaurants like these in a nice neighborhood, or if you live in a nice neighborhood, especially during a time where you know they're trying to draw in people like happy hour, then this can be very beneficial to you. Also, you can look up other restaurants, and I would just go on Yelp and just Google like great happy hours. I've done that before, and I've gone to like Bar Louie by myself, and I sat at the bar and I met somebody just talking there. And Bar Louie isn't necessarily an upscale restaurant, and this particular guy worked at the Pentagon. But like I said, because of the area that I am in, which is the DC metro area, and I am in a suburban type of area, then you kind of know that these are where these people reside. They have to live somewhere, right? And so I met him and he worked at the Pentagon. So it does make a difference in the specific area in which you go. So just know that going any sort of happy hour or restaurant in those particular areas will give you the likelihood in order to meet good quality men, because that is where they live, that is their spot, that is where they hang out, that is where they are going. So putting yourself in position there will give you a better chance. So nice hotels. And this is not like to go spend the night like by yourself or anything. But what I have done, and I'm going to put the picture here, is I have gone to the MGM. I have gone there multiple times, and there's an MGM here on National Harbor. So what this MGM has is they have multiple restaurants in the MGM. They have multiple, or not multiple, they have a casino which in the MGM, and you don't have to gamble. Don't think that I'm encouraging you to do any of that. And they even have multiple restaurants with bars in the MGM. And so I want to actually give you real life stories on how I have met men specifically at that MGM. One time when I was at an event, we went to the restaurant area and it was very crowded. It was a little bar in there. There were a whole bunch of people in there. A guy did approach me. We were talking. He was an IT tech guy. And so just putting yourself in position, once again, this was more like a bar and a hangout, and not everybody was sitting at the bar, but people were just kind of sitting around, but really it was a place for people to congregate. So like I said, if it's a place for people to kind of congregate and you know that is a well-known spot because it is the MGM, then you are more likely to meet other people. Another time I was actually with my grandparents. They were coming to visit and my grandfather was playing the penny slots because he hadn't played since he was in the military. And actually the floor manager guy came up and he saw me and he was like helping my grandfather, and even he was flirting with me, and even my grandfather was like, oh, you might want to go talk to him. Even my grandfather realized, my grandparents are real cool, even they realized that this guy was kind of flirting with me, but I did not go for it because my grandparents were there. That would be too weird. But what I'm saying is that even if you go in there, enjoy a drink, if you gamble and you want to play on the penny slots, that's what we were doing, or even if you want to walk around, because even in that MGM they have actual stores that you can go to, and these stores are like really expensive. I don't necessarily shop there, but what I have done is I have walked around in there. This gives the opportunity for people to meet you, or even sitting at a restaurant. And like I said, I understand that not everybody wants to spend money on a restaurant, but you can go there, get some water and an appetizer, just kind of babysit it and sit around, because your point is to kind of just put yourself out there and to kind of meet people. The second thing that I want to get into is professional events. So I went to a blog conference, I'll put the picture here, one time in New York. And so obviously it was a whole bunch of women there, but with, I actually did meet some women friends that I'm still cool with today. And the crazy thing is I went all the way to New York, and some of them actually lived in Virginia. So I know that this is a good thing for people who want to get out and meet people, because you're meeting like-minded people at a professional event. And also this was in New York. So the way that I positioned this is that I stayed near the event, which was in Manhattan. I looked up the cheapest hotel that was in my, and I have to say this, and you can feel how you want to feel about it, but I like to stay in nice places just because I feel like you train yourself to kind of be exposed to these things. So I did look up the cheapest 4-star hotel, and this is how you get a deal. If you're going to a city and they are new, and I've done this even when I went to Minnesota, I went to a 4-star hotel and it was freshly built. And so since they wanted people to stay there, literally it was a lot cheaper. So I literally stayed in that area, and I would walk back and forth to the blog conference, because like if you're out and about, people can see you. And then also once the blog conference was over, I went outside and I was walking up and down the financial district, the business district, and then I was thinking about going in the bar, but I was just kind of tired, so I didn't. But even so, just doing those type of things can put yourself in a position to be found, because I did it around a time around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock after the blog conference was over. People were getting out of work. There were a whole bunch of people just walking back and forth, walking up and down, and therefore you have the likelihood of meeting people. So you don't have to travel all the way to another state in order to do this, right? But I have went to, for example, an art gallery, and they had events a lot. So I have went there, and I have stricken up conversations with people, because like-minded people are into art. Like-minded people are into, like I said, if you're trying to start a business, blogging, whatever professional endeavor that you are in or you have an interest in, because even that's a good networking opportunity to meet people for the future, then you can definitely look around your area or neighboring areas to try to visit certain types of events, and that will give you an opportunity to meet other people. So the next one is tourist spots. With me living in the DC metro area, this is a lot easier because DC is a tourist spot, but I live like 20 miles away from DC. But either way, I have went to the National Harbor, which is near DC, and even like the Gaylord was a nice hotel. I have went there with me, I have went there with my son, I have went there with me and my mother, and we have walked around the National Harbor. We have walked around in the Gaylord, which is a nice 5-star hotel. We did not stay there, but once again, they have stores. They have a little fountain that water comes up and you can watch it. Even one year they have Christmas lights events, and so we go there. And so just know that going around those type of, just going around those high touristy areas where they have events, there are always a lot of people, so it increases the likelihood of you going somewhere. So even, I feel like most states have some type of city or some type of hotspot somewhere, and I have even done a staycation to the Baltimore Harbor. I don't live in Maryland. Baltimore's harbor was about a couple of hours away driving, but even there I met somebody and I had an impromptu date right there on the spot, and that was just a tourist spot, because ultimately that is, you know, where a lot of people go. So if you live in a state, try to find, hey, what's a nice tourist spot that people go to? Is it a beach? A lot of people go to a beach. Is it the nearest, like I said, the MGM, or is it a national museum? Is it a tourist, like, you know, we have the Smithsonian here. You know, just find places that you know that your city or your state is known for. And if you have to drive like 45 minutes or an hour, I wouldn't go like 5 hours unless you're staying overnight or something. But if you can say, okay, what's within an hour or or 45 minutes radius that I can just go to in order to meet people. You don't have to do that all the time, because once you start meeting people, then you can start like hanging out with them on the regular. But you know, if you're able to travel within your immediate area and the place is known for something, then I would really try to hang out there. Another thing is, when I went to LA, we went on the TMZ tour bus. And so we actually met Anthony Anderson, and me and my mother and my son were on TMZ because they had the bus they were filming. We saw him out in the street. He got on the bus. It was the craziest thing. He talked to everybody. Then he was like, anybody want pictures? So even in TMZ, and I would try to find the clip, I came up and I was able to take a picture with Anthony Anderson. Not saying I'm gonna be with Anthony Anderson, but you get the point, is that all you have to do is really try to find those populated areas so that you can meet other people, because those are where our areas are. So when we went to Beverly Hills, because we were going to the San Francisco area to visit my cousin, but we specifically flew into LA because we had never been there and we wanted to visit some of those touristy spots. And that is where you get to meet people. And then even as a part of our thing, we went to a restaurant, a 4-star restaurant. We ate there. We went on a TMZ tour. So even if you try to go to these touristy spots, really try to engage and do something so that you're able to meet other people. Events, and I kind of already touched on this, but that was more so of professional events. I'm going to go into events that normally are known for holding events for people to meet people. So for example, when it comes to like the Black fraternities and sororities, I don't care where you are, they are normally very active, and they're normally very active in holding events. I have went to one time in the MGM. I have went to other places where they have held these specific events. And the great thing about alumni is that they are age appropriate. They have been graduated from college, and so they can probably range from 30 to probably 50 or 55, maybe even 60. Like, I have seen all that age range at one party. So no matter what your age, or one gathering, it's not a party. Normally they have these events in nice hotels or nice events or something like that. And so normally if you kind of gravitate towards events where you know like professionals are holding them, or someone like an alumni chapter, these are things that can really give you an opportunity to meet people. Another one that I saw in Baltimore, or it was in Maryland, it was near the National Harbor, I think it was. I didn't get a chance to go because it was around quarantine. They were having a wine and sip and cheese and food or something event. So if you kind of Google and really just remain updated, especially on Facebook, like they'll sometimes recommend these things, or you can Google these type of events, and you can actually be interested or go to those type of events in order to meet people. Once again, look at the type of event. I think that specific event, and if I remember, I'll put the picture here just so that guys can get the idea, because you want to look at the pictures, you want to look at the environment, you want to make sure that you're putting yourself in a good productive environment to meet good quality and similar types of men, and just not just go anywhere and then you're like completely disappointed. So I have went to a rooftop party. I don't even know, that was like an event on Facebook that was suggested in DC. I have went there, and so it was like an all-white party. So certain things that you can do where they're always promoting events, especially on Facebook, that you might not necessarily know about, try to keep your eyes open for that. And the last one, I said the last one was the last one, but the last one is alumni, college, and sports bars. You might not think that this is a thing, but it completely is. I graduated from VCU in undergrad, and my alma mater is very good at basketball. They have been in the NCAA tournament multiple times. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because what happens when the NCAA tournament comes around and my alma mater is playing? I live in Virginia. Even though VCU is in Richmond, the whole Virginia will celebrate. They will go to sports bars to watch these, like, because people, alumni such as myself, and even men, they could have got their bachelor's or master's or doctorate, whatever the case may be, from these schools, they will go and they will gravitate towards these events to watch the game. And so this could be for football, this could be for any type of Super Bowl event, or if your city, like Washington Redskins are here, for example, Washington Redskins, if they are playing that specific night, if you go to a nice sports bar, then you know people are going to be there because they want to watch the game. I have went to Buffalo Wild Wings. I don't know if they're considered super classy, but they are a sports bar that people tend to gravitate to because they have wings. And so if you know, like, hey, I know a game is playing tonight, or my alma, and you don't even have to be an alma mater, like you don't have to graduate from there, just be a supporter, right? Just, you can go to the bar and you can specifically watch a football game, a basketball game. If your area is known soccer, if your area is known for some specific school or some specific type of sporting event, or if your area has a professional team or your state has a professional team, because normally it's a state thing, and there's a big game playing, then go to the actual sports bar and watch these events. And you know that they're, just because men like to watch sports, then you know that men are going to be there. And like I said, it does depend on the type of sports bar that you go to. Try to make sure you do your research and choose a really good one in order to go to, and you will probably meet men. I think when I have went to an alumni basketball thing, I have met people a lot, and I have even like had on, like if I'm watching the VCU NCAA, I have even put on an NCAA, like a VCU alumni shirt, and people have actually stopped me and was like, oh, are you here to watch the game? And they didn't even go to that school, but they wanted to watch the team. And then even identifying myself as an alumni kind of invites people to approach you. So if you put on paraphernalia that shows that you're a fan, then it is a great conversation starter for men to approach you, to be like, oh, is that your team? That's my team too. That sort of thing. All right, so I definitely hope that this gave you guys some really good tips, and I will see you guys and talk to you guys another day, another time. Bye, y'all. Not ready for the show to end? It doesn't have to. You can head over to my site where you can read hundreds of articles. And also you can feel free to shop my store where I have all of my products for sale. And last but not least, for even more video content, feel free to visit my YouTube channel where I talk about a wide array of content. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and until next time, stay blessed.